Hi guys, welcome back. We got a great project today. I think you're going to have fun with this one. It's a three-dimensional sculpture by Jack Gomente. And what we're going to be talking about is life in motion. How by showing an action or a movement in something that's still, you really can convey a story. And so what we're going to do is utilize some simple materials to create a story in a three-dimensional sculpture. So let's get to it and have some fun. So the things you're going to need for this one is the reference, all right? And you can find them online, but we also have those too that we'll post for you. And this one that we have here is him walking, but you'll see a ton of different ways he's expressed a story in a sculpture. Now, the material list is a basic cardboard box. I have one right here. So what I've done with the box is basically cut out a bunch of sides here. Let me tell you that you only need one about this size, and I got that one out of the recycle bin, not a big deal. Other thing you're going to need is some black acrylic paint again, some tin foil that we've had before, a pair of scissors, a nice black marker like that for the cardboard, a brush, a paper plate. Again, we're using a knife and our trusty glue gun coming back into play. So with these materials, we're ready to get started and create our story 3D. All right, now with our materials that we have ready to go, we're gonna get our reference first, all right? Make sure you have that. And you can change anything you want in this. Like, I've been walking a lot, and so I kind of resonate with this story because it shows a movement of a person walking and thinking or exercising. This is what I've been doing. And it just is something I want to illustrate. It's a story of my own ideas, what I'm doing in my life right now. So here we go. Once we have this, I've cut the cardboard box into maybe 6 pieces at this point. And these 6 pieces are 6 by 6 inches. So you want to measure that with the ruler, cut them right out of the box. It's usually just using the flaps that are on the side and the bottom. And then there's a long flap like this one. You can see I got that one from the Amazon. And this is going to be him. This is about the size we're going. It's 19 inches high by 6 across, but we're probably only going to go up to about here, which is about 1.5 feet, okay? So now that I have what I'm going to be looking at to tell my story, and you can draw it out or sketch it, but I think this one relates pretty well with me. I flip it over, grab my pencil. I'm going to leave these for later because this is going to be the part where we start building the sculpture and making it solid. At this point, I'm looking at my reference with my pencil, and I'm going to go back with a slight sketch. So here's the key. If I know this is going to sit inside of these pieces, right? Because we want to create the stability of the sculpture. So I know once I line up these 6, it's going to go down somewhere to here. I'll mark that so you can see it with the marker here. And that's going to be below where I start, right? Now, I want to pick one of the legs there and grow up from that. So I'm picking the back leg here, where I'm going to put the knife. I can pick this one too. Either one will be fine. Why not? We'll pick the one that's straight up, a little more straight up right there. And I know it's going to go this deep. I've marked it. It should sit in there about right. So that's where I'm starting the drawing of his first leg. I'm going to sketch out his leg. Simply, I angle it. It doesn't have to be perfectly up and down. It can go at an angle as long as when we cut it and glue it, it's going to be solid. So let's go up from this point. I'm using the plastic knife again because that's what I'm going to stabilize my sculpture with. go back and just outline the width there. Because I want to hide it. I don't want people to see my plastic knife in there, right? The other thing you can do if you want to is you can snap this in half or cut it, and then you're only using a little part of it. So I'll do that. Watch this. Boom. That easy. Makes a nice sound too. So that way, if I want to get thinner as I go up, totally can. Let's go up the leg. I'm looking at my reference again, right? I can see how high he's going to be. Then I'm doing the back leg from that area back. Somewhere there. I'm leaving a little bit of space to put his feet. I know his feet are going to be at the bottom here. And I'm just sketching that out at this point, just to figure out where he's going to move, what kind of action I want him to have. Because the idea is to tell a story. I don't want the sculpture to not relay movement. So I'm arcing his angle on his foot. I'm looking at the way and the thickness of the line. And Clemente always made him really tight, really thin. So I'm trying to keep that in mind to learn from the master. Let's go out, we'll set his foot in. Okay, that looks right. I'm gonna have kind of a pointed toe here. But once I start wrapping it in the foil, and that's gonna be another part of this composition, I'm gonna see if I wanna squeeze it thinner or thicker. So this is just for stability. This is just to get the idea there. Okay, I kind of like this. This is working out. Now, he also has his arm in motion. So I'm drawing the arm to show that part of it. See how he's moving. And it could just be a simple sketch. I'm going to go back and do it a little darker with the marker because that's going to give me the ability to see it when I cut it out and change it from my sketch. That way I can always adapt. If I want it a little bigger, I can do it thicker with the marker, and then I know when I cut, that's exactly what I want. There we go. I think that looks good. I'm going to do the front arm. Now, if it doesn't fit, you can cut it off because we're going to do the foil that's going to bend out. So it just needs this for stability. If your drawing doesn't fit, just make sure you have a good tree trunk or a nice, form on your person. So that way when you cut it, it won't fall apart, okay? Let's see, I might be able to get in maybe some of it. Not all of it, that's okay. I'm gonna do a little bit more out this way. Probably cut back there. All right, let's go up, get his neck. Always thin here. I don't know why he liked the thin neck, but I think it tells a little bit more about the person, but also it's unique. It makes the person look a little different from usual. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so now that I have that, I'm gonna go back with the marker just to define and decide, get my black marker, start looking at the shape again, cut some of it down, like this part. I'm gonna make sure I drop a little bit earlier here. There we go. And I'm filling it in because now I can actually see the sculpture. It's not just a sketch. I can see what it's going to be like three-dimensionally. I want to make sure I get his expressions in there pretty good. I fill it in because it just feels good to me to fill it in. I don't know why, but it just does. And then down here, I go a little thinner. I've decided a little thinner on the body. Still going to stabilize, but I want it a little thinner on the top. There we go. Okay, so there we are. We have this point. Everything's put together. Now it's just time to cut. So I grab my scissors at this point. I'm going to straighten out the bottom a little bit. Just cut across. Now I'll start cutting out. And I want to get these shapes and cut as best I can. So I might have to cut in from the side sometimes to relieve the last cut. What that does is it gives me a new angle so that when I address it again, it'll be a lot easier to take out. Yeah, there we go. Cut out his arm on this side. Good. Now that this one's free, I can come back and cut that spot. Awesome. Cut back here, get the last little bit of his arm in there. I don't want to bend too much of the cardboard, so sometimes once I've made 2 cuts, I might fold it up a little bit and then cut across. That way it doesn't weaken the cardboard in any sense. And it really helps me to get the next cut in place to get more detail. Now if you need to go back and cut it again, go ahead and do that. No problem. All right, so that's our stable guy in motion, right? Simplistic, but I'm gonna extend his arms. So in the next step, what we're gonna be doing, once we have this, we have our stack that's already cut out, 6 by 6, we're probably gonna start looking at the foil and deciding how we wanna mold it. All right, so at this point, now I'm creating the foundation for the sculpture, right? This is life in motion, but we need stability. So what I'm doing here, these are the 6 by 6 pieces. There's 6 of them. I've painted it already. I primed it, let it dry a little bit, and now I'm finding the center of it. Remember we had this, right? This is our plastic knife. So I'm gonna hot glue that to my guy. Pick whatever leg I think is gonna be the best. I kind of put in the measurement so it doesn't show any of the knife there from the side. Know how deep it is. Lay it down, and I'm going to glue this straight to it. So let me put a good bead. Make sure you put enough here because this is the main part that's going to stabilize the whole sculpture. All right? So we're going to go all the way down. Nice thick bead here. Go back, check it again. Let's set that down correct. Check it again, kind of measure it. That's about it. Lay it in there. As you're doing this, make sure you're doing it with somebody that is good with the hot glue, and so you're careful and doing the right thing there. But let's pressurize that a little bit so it sticks well. Remember, we're going to also be doing this with foil. So we can hide it. You want to stick it as best you can. It's still going to be hidden, but let's give it an opportunity to dry. Now while that's drying, I'm going to move on to here. I find the center. It's about the thickness of here. Take my scissor all the way together. If you want to do it separate, that's fine. I think this is a little safer. And I just push down from the top. You hear that? All the way through it. That's creating a niche. And that niche is going to help me to stick in where the knife is so we get that right. So there we go. This guy is okay. As soon as I do that, now I'm going to slide this in. Make sure it's cut, all right, all the way through. Kind of want to go a little bit more. So if I need to, I'll go back, punch all the way to the bottom. Couple more, let's see. All right, there we go. There's another one. There's another one. And it might take a couple of pushes to get the right niche. That's okay. I want to make sure I get it down in there. Be careful with your hands. Okay. Let's set it back in there. There we go. There he is. Now, I'm going to put him at a little bit of a tilt because I like that motion. Once I get that in place, there's this tilt. Then I'm going to go back with my hot glue gun. I have some in there, but I'm going to feed another stick. And I'm going to hit inside of that crevice that I created at the bottom. And what that's going to do for me is make sure they're attached, 1, but two, add more stability to the foot. So I'm going to put it almost all the way across here. I'm going to do it on the other side. There might be a little bit of runoff, but that's okay because I still have the foil coming. And I'm solidifying that all the way across, getting into the crevice of the hole that I created. That little space needs to be filled. All right, so that section is there. I need to let that dry for a little bit. But here's my opportunity. Make sure it's stable. Hold it in place as it dries. Look at it and start thinking about my movement. How long my arms are going to be, how I want it to be. And I revolve it. I pull it around. I look at it from different sides. How thick am I going to put the foil onto it? Once it dries, what do I want it to look like? Now, I would let it sit for a little bit. This might take a couple of minutes. Kind of like that a little better. Okay. So with this, I'm going to let it dry, and then we'll get to the foil step, which is allowing us to express our story and show the movement inside our sculpture. All right, here comes the fun part. Now, we're going to make this three-dimensional. It's not going to go flat. Even though it's three-dimensional and we're looking at it, now it's our opportunity to wrap it in the foil and give it a little girth or a little size. Because if you look at it this way, right, it's super thin. But if I rotate it, now you get a flat surface. It looks a little bulkier. But I want to do that because this is a sculpture, to see it from the side and give it a little weight as well. So here's where we're going to go. We're taking foil. What I was basically doing is just going through and cutting some panels. Now this depends on the size of your sculpture. I cut them into little small pieces, big pieces, whatever. Once I've decided on the size, and I'm looking at the head at this point, you can see I did the arm a little bit just to see how it would work out. I might fold this in half and then look at the way that I can kind of group it over the top. Gotta be gentle, but I'm squeezing it. I'm flattening it out to kind of what my drawing was. Going back, thinning it up. You might have to wrap it once or twice because the first time is just to get the size right. But I might want to make it bulkier. I might want to come back and shape the chin more. Like in this case, I'm going to rip another piece. I'm going to set it towards the front. And just push it in little by little. I want it to be flat because remember, we're still going to paint it at the end. But I also want to sculpt it. I want to pressurize it. I want to push it so that I can get into those neck areas so I can create a unique shape, right? I want his chin to show, but you got to be a little delicate. There we go. We're starting to see it. Now I can go down. I'll show you the other arm. Each time you do something, you're kind of playing with it. You size it up. You see where you want to do the dimension. You can just rip it easily if you want. Put it in there and wrap, right? Then the squeezing happens. You want to squeeze it so it'll stay on there. I like kind of working it little by little. Now, if you look what the master did on this one, he was always making thinner elements. So I might go back and I'll squeeze it more if I have to wrap it again to get it thinner. Or if I want to elongate this and accentuate this more, I can do that. I'm always looking to see what can I change to make my art better. And that's one of the things I think an artist always does. How can I improve? What can I do to make myself better, learn something new? Or is my art looking good to me? What changes do I need to do? Is it put more time? Or slow down and think about what I'm making so that the outcome is good. So remember that. Now I'm going to go through and do it quickly, but you get the idea. Okay, so here's my shape. This is my man in movement walking. And I want to go back as much as I can and just start compressing it. You got to push a little bit, like get in there, get dirty, use some strength. Now, once that happens, this is the last step that we're going to be doing, which is painting it. What that does is it kills the illusion of the tinfoil and it just lets the form come out. That way we're focusing on the story and we're getting a lot of the detail to look a little bit like steel. Now, let me show you from this angle. I'm going in a rotation of the brush, just little by little, filling in every crevice. This is something you're going to take a little bit of time with, and not too much water. I'm just using paint. When it runs out, I go to another section, go back and get some of the details I might have missed. I want to make sure I cover it completely though, because I want that illusion that it's not only made out of steel maybe, or bronze, but it's covering up that foil. Everybody can see that and they know what it is. So it could be, oh, that's foil. No, this is a bronze sculpture that I created. So this is what you want to start putting together. Hitting in every crevice. It might take a couple of times. And when you start running out, if you put just a light brush stroke, you're going to get that kind of look to it. So if you still want some of the foil to come through, that's fine. Still looks like metal. For me, I kind of want to take it all the way out. So I'm going to use the black, hit every section, make sure I'm covering it. Going into any of the folds or crevices that I had to wrap, does take a little bit of time. I'd say, for me to put down the foil, I would do it with somebody else because it takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth the effort. Okay. Now, let's just keep layering in the black. Now, if you wanted to choose another color, you can, but this really allows for you to see the negative space of the figure in the form, which kind of accentuates the story. So you're concentrating on him, not the color, not anything else, just where his arms are and what he's doing. That's kind of what we want to do. All right, let's layer some more here. Kind of want to rotate it around, look at each section and side, because don't forget this is three-dimensional. So as we do it, people are going to walk around it. If you place it on your bookcase or if it's out in the front, in your living room because somebody in your house loved it so much that they want to brag about you, then there you go. That's what you want to do. Make sure you're covering and hitting every angle. So no matter which way they walk around it, they'll be able to stare at the sculpture from different points of view. All right. So again, it might take one or two coats. This is my first coat. So let me finish painting and then I'll show you the final result. It's going to be good. So here we have it. This is the end result of the sculpture. You can see, and let me just take it off. I kind of got it stuck down there. But as I revolve it, you're going to get different angles here. And you can appreciate it from different sides. I really like the way the arm came out here. Kind of looks like I'm looking up or looking out. And I think once you get the paint on it and you see it on the pedestal, if you set this in a nice place, people are gonna love it. So remember, this was my story, but you can make up your own any way you want it. And this is another three-dimensional sculpture, and you've made it. So I hope you had fun. Send us a picture. We'd love to see it. All right, guys, take care. We'll see you next time.